I'm McKinney Smith. After going through a divorce, my sister passing away, experiencing narcissistic abuse, and some significant health scares, I realized through sharing my story that I wasn't alone in my suffering. Suffering, subjective distress generated by the experience of being out of balance. In a deep dive to holistically heal mind, body, and soul is where I discovered peace, clarity, and connection. It is impossible to be truly wise without some real life hardship, and we cannot develop post-traumatic wisdom without making it through, and most importantly, through it together. Social connection builds resilience, and resilience helps create post-traumatic wisdom, and that wisdom leads to hope. Hope for you and others witnessing and participating in your healing, and hope for your community. A healthy community is a healing community, and a healing community is full of hope because it has seen its own people weather, survive, and thrive. Sofia Aguilar is a marketing strategist, content creator, and multifaceted entrepreneur embodying faith-based entrepreneurship with impactful marketing strategies. With a mission to empower aspiring business owners and individuals, Sophia went from founding her dance studio at age 18 to guiding over 400 businesses across North America into authentically expressing themselves online. Starting her venture during the pandemic, her dedication earned her recognition on breakfast television, teaching the do's and don'ts of social media. Sophia draws from personal struggles to uplift clients and brands, bridging the gap between business ownership, faith, and digital marketing. Focusing on her faith, kingdom influence, and the digital realm, Sophia has become a sought-after mentor and speaker globally, imparting her expertise to high-level entrepreneurs on the art of crafting high-converting content. So please welcome to the show, Sofia Aguilar.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for saying yes and agreeing to come on and share your story, your wisdom, and your expertise with us. You know, every woman that I've had on the show, every person that I've had on the show, obviously I have asked you to be on the show because I'm inspired by you. I know that everyone has, their life going on with their business, with personal. So I don't take your time lightly. And I truly, truly do appreciate you being here. So thank you again for saying yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I've been from when we worked together, from just even having mutual friends and seeing your page, I look up to you and what you do. And even just my most recent purchase of the coloring book, I am just in awe. So I know that this will be a great conversation, and I'm just really, really looking forward.
Thank you. Thank you. So I love to start the show with an icebreaker question because I feel like as people, naturally our family, culture, society, all these layers, they shift our paradigm, our perspective of life. So as kids, with all the innocence and the freedom to imagine and have these visions, I would love to know, before society and culture started to limit you, who or what did Sophia want to be when she was a little girl?
It's so interesting that you asked that, because that's been what I've been asking myself most recently. What a lot of people don't know is that I actually don't remember a lot of my childhood. Today, I was just playing back with my father, like, I need you to help me recollect some memories because I want to get to know to the core of who I was before I was tainted by this world. And
Hmm.
because I came to Canada when I was 6, I don't remember my life in Colombia at all. But from pictures and from my family's just storytelling about me, like, I've always been super fearless. They've always said that, I was the girl who there was a pot of plants outside and I was eating the dirt. Like, I was just all in, just like, I wanted to just get in and get my feet wet, like go all into the mud type of thing. And I think that has always been my personality, and just free, like very free spirited. I remember that I wanted to be a dancer. Like I've always wanted to just dance and move, and it didn't come from the place of look at me. I think that's what happened above evolved around the years. But I think at the core of me wanting to dance, it was like seeing people smile and just making people laugh and entertaining for the purpose of bringing people together. I think that was what I aspire to do. I told myself when I was 16 that I wanted to go into either being a teacher or being a social worker. But I think my perspective at that time had already shifted from the innocence to being like, I want to save lives.
Mm.
From seeing what teachers and social workers and all that, how they impacted my life, I wanted to now return the favor to society. So I think the core was like the dancer, the entertainer, like keep the culture alive, good vibes, good time, little me.
So, okay, so as a teenager that wanted to be a teacher, an entertainer, like what type of teenager were you? Like I know when I was in high school, I may have hung around some people that got into trouble, but I was the quiet one in the back, like not wanting to be involved, but I was present. So I wasn't a troublemaker. I was quiet. I was introverted. It's like what were you like as a teenager?
Yeah, so me as a teenager, I think there was seasons of what happened in my life. My first year in high school was actually I went to a brand new school. It was like I got to recreate who I was. Nobody knew me. I didn't know anyone. I lived in Mississauga my whole life, then randomly go to Etobicoke and I'm in a completely different demographic. So that was the beginning of me remembering that I could do whatever I wanted. And so that allowed me to connect. And I wouldn't say like I got along with everybody. I didn't have anybody who was like in grade nine, at least as the years went by, it changed. But I remember my first year of high school, I was friends with the smartest person in the room. And I could also hang out with the troublemakers because it didn't change who I was. I was so confident in being like, I was getting my work done. I would still go out after school. But I had my head on my shoulders
Mhm.
and I was able to explore like getting good grades, but also being the loudest one in the room. I was the one raising up my hand to answer every question. And I loved being in community. Like I would be at the cafeteria with everyone. So yeah, me in high school. And then as I moved back to Mississauga, I think that's when, the older years, I think there was a lot of, chat as, high school. And that's when I think isolation and being like, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing. These people do their own thing. So I think my personality started to change because I saw my environment change. And then I started to make those decisions to say, oh, I shouldn't hang around with these people. I probably wasn't the nicest person in grade 11 and 12. I'll be honest. I told people how it was and I made sure they felt that I didn't like them. Um, and also at that point I think in high school, I was just about getting my money. I got my first job when I was 15, 16. So I didn't care to be a part of what everybody else was doing. I was about my money because I had a car to pay for and I was very independent. I've had to be independent. My dad told me if you want something, you have to go and pay for it. So all I've known since I was really young was be independent, mind your business, and just be careful who's around you because you don't need them.
Mhm.
Basically, was all I knew in high school. Yeah.
So a couple of things there. Okay, so you shared a lot of valuable lessons from your teenage years, from your childhood. Actually, I want to give a quick disclaimer to our audience because 60% of our audience is from the US. We have
Hmm.
huge population from like the Caribbean, some from overseas, Australia. So when you say, like, for example, when you talked about moving from, Mississauga to Etobicoke for our New Yorkers, that's like from going from Bronx to Brooklyn. So it's like the city over, right?
Yes, it was literally Bronx to Brooklyn.
Yeah. See, look at that. Look at that. But okay, so you have had to learn to be independent from a young age. You learned to be responsible from a young age. All of these things that you were conditioned to be when you were younger. How do you feel that affects who you are today?
Honestly, I'm grateful. Like as me, like Sophia sitting here right now with you on I think January 29th. I am so grateful that I was able to be independent at such a young age. I think a lot of people are privileged
Mhm.
and they don't get the opportunity to see what it's like to go through life. And I think when you go through things like that, it shapes you and it creates who I am now and creates who you are and how you decide to look at it. I think it's just perspective. So I'm grateful. Now, did I wish that it had to be all like that all the time? No. I would love to envision my life as somebody who never had to, be on their toes all the time and have, be walking on eggshells and be looking left to right. Like I would have wanted to understand how my life would have been if I didn't have to always be independent and figure things out for myself. But I think it's really it's a trait that not a lot of people have nowadays, right? I see, you know, when we speak in high schools and we do workshops, independence is not something that people have. I
Mhm.
fear sometimes not just independence, but that grit, and you can't teach that. So I'm grateful. However, I think it's impacted me in relationships greatly because, and that's like all across the board, with males and also my female friends, because, you know, it's this like gripping all the time, right? So when you've gripped your whole life, whether it's gripped to your own things, to your own experiences, to your heart and to your mind, you don't want to let go. And when you do, you're like, oh, I'm going to grip back,
Yeah.
right? I think it's really shaped and it's a process of unlearning and relearning, but I'm super grateful because it also helps me connect and understand that my parents were humans and they only did with what they knew. So if at the time I had to be independent for the purpose of saving our lives, um, then thank God it was me and nobody else. I don't know if it would have been somebody else if I would have been here, right? So it's a gratitude and a like a huge reflection piece that I have all the time.
I love that perspective. I truly do. Um, is it correct that you um founded a dance studio when you were 18?
Yes, yeah. So I had a online and in-person studio because it was like that little bridge between our pandemic friend. So my dad actually helped me build the studio. We had a whole video where we ripped everything up and we created it because we were like, we're gonna do this until 2 years passed and then we had to take it down.
So, okay, so what inspired that bold step at 18 and how has it shaped your entrepreneurial path now?
Okay, so when I was underage, I used to teach on Wednesdays at our local Latin Wednesday nights. So I'm underage. You legally can get into clubs at 19. And I'm teaching these Wednesday night classes, and people are asking me, hey, like, we would love for you to teach us a private dance lesson. We would love for you to do my husband's and I's wedding. And I just started building my community from, again, super young and just documenting my life. I think I mentioned at the very beginning, I don't recall a lot of things that have happened in my life. So my way of remembering is always a video or a photo.
Mm.
And that's how I kept the memories in my life alive. So people would just be a part of the social and the environment. And I was making, like, at the time, I think $150 an hour and a week was big for an underage person. And I never saw the type of money. Like for me, I think my job, I think was paying me $10.25 an hour at the time, or maybe it was 9.75 and something like that. And so I was like, that is amazing. My parents were okay with it. My siblings were okay with it. And I just thought that there was more. There was more to life. Like I didn't have to settle for that. And so every opportunity, that was my base. Like $150, that was my base rate everywhere I went for a year or two. And the more people that, I met, then I started serving. I've had multiple jobs in between. People would tell me, oh, you dance? Please teach me. I got recruited by a company, a samba dance company that does weddings, corporate events, and then I was their lead dancer and choreographer. So if I was doing this for other people, making them money, then I was definitely going to find a way to do this for myself and also have, because didn't just want to do performances. I wanted more of that intimate confidence and learn how to bachata, salsa, samba. So I combined it into a 6-week dance program. I think I did 3 or 4 cohorts of 10 to 20 women at each time. And I was renting out people's studios, and that gets expensive. It cuts into your profit. So long story short, I looked at my dad, he looked at me and said, we need a solution. And my basement fit enough for, I would say, like 7 to 8 people at the time. And then that was the transition to online, to say, we don't always need people at home. People love recordings. They want to follow along. We want to give them something to do at home. And that was like the birth of confidence and movement.
Wow, I love it. I love it. I okay. So okay, I guess share with us how you got to where you are today with what you're doing now.
Okay, so fast forward to now, we know COVID happened. Um, it was this feeling of, I can't believe something was able to take my livelihood away, basically. So I was bartending and I quit my job. And the only thing that I had left was this dance company that now I couldn't do because I had to comply. And it was hard. It was either I keep going and have the resilience to figure it out, or understand that life was shifting. And if I decided to stay the same, then we weren't going to evolve. So this evolution idea took place. I realized that I was really good at selling things. I could have either sold a water bottle or a hair product or a makeup product, but that was the understanding that I had influence, and it was bigger than, oh, I have 50,000 followers. It wasn't even about that. Excuse me. I had influence in the sense that what I was doing and saying wasn't, sorry, I think this coffee went down the wrong path. Mm. So it was the beginning of when I understood influence, to realize that it wasn't about the followers and how many people were around me, is that whatever I was doing was making people's lives better. Whether it was a product I was recommending to them or an opportunity. So I realized I was really good at this sales and content space, to the point where people around me were reaching out about how I could support them with that. So I joined a digital marketing company selling their products. Again, I built a really great team. I began to lead them on confidence. So everything was always kind of like similar, but in a different industry. So confidence was the theme, authenticity was the theme, showing up as their authentic selves, and selling and making money. Fast forward, I hired a coach and I said, I don't know what to do, but I'm not doing this dance thing because I feel like I'm going to get older and my bones aren't going to be the same. So we need a long-term solution. And it turns out where she needed support is where we birthed my offer. So she needed help with the social media, filming, documenting, scripting, capturing videos. And that's what I had been doing my whole life. And we turned it into an offer. Fast forward, launched my first 10 clients at $500 each, which was a big deal, to making my first $100,000 in 6 months, to traveling worldwide to serve, create strategies, film our clients, and continue to build my personal brand. So that's literally it in a nutshell. One conversation of all the things that I had been doing and preparing for, in a way,
Mhm.
to bring it into now a full blown, I would say I'm everyone's right hand when it comes to marketing strategies and being their second brain or their blind spot when it comes to capturing them in their zone of genius.
I love it. So when I'm listening to you talk about like the different businesses and the experience that you've had, and when you said like everything kind of falls within the same themes of building confidence and authenticity, like it sounds like those are your core value pillars,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
no matter what business you're in, you're able to take those with you. And then also how you explained like your offer was birthed from creating a solution to someone else's problem.
Yeah.
And we all know as entrepreneurs, in order for you to thrive in any industry, you got to figure out how do you solve a problem, right? What problem are you solving? So I love how your story kind of explains all of those things.
Yeah. And actually, there was this little gap when I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And I said, remember when I told you I wanted to do social work?
Yeah.
I told my dad I would never pay to go to school. Like, if I needed to figure out something to do. First of all, I'm not going to school. That's what I said. I don't need no diploma.
Mhm.
There was an opportunity that came about for me to go to school for free during the
Wow.
pandemic. So while all of this was happening, I was in school for social work. What a lot of people don't know, if I was going through the most challenging time of like an identity crisis, like what
Mhm.
or going through like I'm also not like I think I was like 21 or 22. So for me it's like I'm in my 20s. We got to figure this out now because the world's going to end and I need to get married, I need to have kids. And so I went to school. I did social work for 2 years. That was the start to my therapy. I
Mhm.
knew that I didn't want to study like actually do this as a career, but that was my therapy. That saved me to understanding my emotions. It was my mom is a psychologist, so I've always had this in me, but it was the start of understanding my emotions, me. I could cry thinking about like all my classes were online because again, pandemic. And I was just sitting there like, oh, I needed this so much. Like my teachers were amazing. It was the greatest thing ever. I got a great internship in social work, but again, my heart of service didn't let me actually enjoy that as much as I wanted it to because I was so compassionate and had so much empathy that it actually destroyed me. So
Mhm.
that was that middle path of like, it's almost like my climax point of being like, I could go get a job and make maybe $30,000, $40,000 and maybe not love what I'm doing because I'm so empathetic. And I
Yeah.
kind of needed something to, be this for me. And that's entrepreneurship. It's this up and down.
Listen, I always say that entrepreneurship is a personal development journey because
Mhm.
there's so much that you learn about yourself, that you learn about other people, that it teaches you about relationships. Like entrepreneurship, I feel like it's not necessarily for everyone. And, like you were saying before, like you having to learn from a young age to be independent and all those things, like you being conditioned and you, um, I'm going to say having to utilize your grit,
Yes.
right? And display your perseverance. Like that's what entrepreneurship is about. Like I feel like if I was a completely different person, I would have quit a long time ago. Like I've been an entrepreneur full time for over 15 years and I'm like, this is not for everyone.
Mhm. No.
It's hard. There are times where people have made entrepreneurship like look so easy that everyone wanted to quit their jobs, become an entrepreneur. Then people started going on rants on social about, oh, you guys lied to it. Nobody lied to you. We
Like,
just, we were dealing with it on the back end.
yeah, we're actively dealing with it. So you'll never know because we won't quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's so inspiring about like I don't know, there's this trend on TikTok and I think it's hilarious because when people say like, "Oh, you're so funny," or "You're so strong," it's like, yeah, I had to go through things. That's why I'm strong. I willingly had to go through things, which is why I put up with this. I wake up every day not knowing where my next paycheck is going to come from, but the next paycheck could be $1 million.
Right.
Or the
Yeah.
next paycheck could be that great opportunity that takes you somewhere. So it's the game of life that we chose to play because we could play it safe
Yeah.
and we're not. So
Yeah.
close to us. We made it. We made
Yeah.
it another day. Every day is different.
Listen, tough times build tough people. Like I feel like, like we were talking earlier about, people that haven't had the same experiences or the same conditioning as you. Like, kind of, I guess, the difference where it's like I know that for example, my children are, um, I call them very codependent. Um, 3 adults, but I feel like they depend on me a lot more than I would like them to. Uh, and I feel that that level of even though they've had their own struggles, that softness that they've been allowed to have make softer people. Like they have the amount of like, my background, resilience is my superpower. I have it tattooed on me. And it's not that I've wanted or that I'm glorifying resilience. It's just I have had so many hardships and so many struggles and so many things to overcome, but I am here and I am grateful. So
Mhm.
there's that level of healthy resilience as opposed to my past being very unhealthy resilience where it's like,
Yeah.
compartmentalizing and not even wanting to process, oh, I'm going through trauma right now. I'm
Yeah.
experiencing something really hard. But yeah, like, okay, so when we were talking earlier about pillars, I know for you that faith is a very strong pillar in your life and your business.
Mhm.
Was there a defining moment in your life when you knew that you had to align your work with your spiritual beliefs?
Yeah, so I actually became a Christian 4 years ago. So this is very fresh, or five. I would say I got baptized in 2021. And like life was so hard. Like growing up, things were hard. And a lot of people don't actually know. My parents have been separated basically my whole life. But social media doesn't really show that. I show my dad. Sometimes you see my mom. Some people think I don't have a mom. You get to see what I show you. But growing up and moving to a whole different country and seeing my sisters go through things and then me going, like, you kind of you're the domino effect. You wonder, like, why do these things happen? And I think that defining moment was when I think I was 19 or 20. And I will never say I've made bad decisions, because I don't want to call them bad. They have just been the decisions that I made with the information that I knew,
Yeah.
right? And based on feelings and situation. So I got into a relationship that felt literally like I was about to I'm like, I'm going to get married. I'm going to have 5 kids. This is it, until it wasn't. And I saw myself go like this. People around me were like, girl, we can't recognize you. You're a different person at home. I say this on my podcast, and it brings me to tears when I think about it, because my sister sent me that message and she was like, we don't recognize you. You're a different person on social media. You're a different person at home, and you're a different person like at your work and with this person, and we don't know who you are. And that to me was a huge red flag on what is happening with me, because I love you guys, and the fact that this is affecting you, then I need to fix something in my life. So, but also at the same time, you see, God works in mysterious ways, because while I was going through something, my sister, my eldest sister, had gone through a breakup as well, met her now husband, and has 3 beautiful kids. Her life has just been, on the outside, of course, we don't know the inside, has looked like this. And I told her, I said, whatever juice you're drinking, whatever drug this is, give me some of that, because I need this good luck.
Yeah.
Okay. Said it was Jesus. And she brought me to a retreat. And that was life changing for me to hear that there was, that I'm worthy.
Mm.
That my worth didn't depend on a man telling me that I was worthy. It didn't depend on my parents thinking I was worthy. It didn't depend on my relationships around me or my business or the money that I was making. There was a God that loved me even before I was born. So that started this like love within myself. I'll be honest, now I appear to be very like confident and having a lot of self-love, but I was never like that. And you could tell based on my attention seeking behaviors. You can tell on who I hung around with, what I wore, the things I said, that I was hurt and
Mm.
I needed Jesus. I think everybody needs Jesus, but I needed Jesus. And yeah, that I think when I gave my life to Christ, I got baptized. I went through another breakup. Like, it's just been like this. And I never wanted to separate. Here's the thing, is I was so tired of always having to code switch. Like, I'm good at it. I could be a chameleon, like put me anywhere. But I really got to a point where I was like, I don't want to pretend to be anybody else anymore. Like, I want to just embrace me all the time and who God created me to be. So that meant that in business and showing up, that I didn't have to pretend like I was non-Christian to make this person feel comfortable, because being a Christian is who I am. A
Yes.
social media strategist and a marketing strategist is what I do. So it didn't change at the core of me. It's in my character. So I realized that I had to bring that anywhere I went, that anywhere I was in a room, I could bring a piece of peace, of joy, of love, of happiness, of worthiness. And even if people didn't believe in God, it still gave them good vibes or good energy, or positivity, whatever they called it. But it was God through me. And I don't shy away. Like sometimes as I grow in my faith, I'm thinking maybe this is too much for my clients or people watching me. Maybe this will push them away. Maybe this will trigger them. But I have to remember that I'm not for everybody. And people might work with me because they see that I'm great at what I do, or they may work with me because I'm Christian, or both.
Yes.
And I don't have to be less of who I am or who God has created me to be just to work with a client, just to get a paycheck. And I pray that when people come on my platform, they see that they don't have to compartmentalize who they are. Like you can be a mom and you
Yeah.
could be a boss and you could be Christian and you can also tell somebody about themselves and be a great strategist, right?
He's gangster. People forget that.
Like we are holy and hood in no, I'm kidding, not hood. But we can be both because that's what makes us us. And I mean, I have a podcast called One of One, and I always say, like, I am one of one. I wish there was another one of me some days because I'd love to talk to her, but I'm not like you and you're not like me. So even in the business space and like combining my faith, I always say, if you don't like me, there's going to be somebody else that does what I do.
Yeah.
But there isn't somebody else. Like we all have the spirit of God within us, but we're all going to like our results will speak for themselves once we work together. So yeah, sometimes it's hard
Mm-hmm.
because you know the spirit of God it will humble you and also make you do and say things that others might not. I
Mm-hmm.
paused on my business for my health for 3 months for my health. And because I was like, whoa, I'm doing this outside of God's will.
Mm.
I didn't seek God about this, which is why I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. I hate what I'm doing, but this is supposed to be for God. And now I've brought myself down a destructive path, but I didn't put God in it. So he'll tug at us. And sometimes it's the things that we don't want to do that we need the most. Like fast forward to now, I'm grateful that that was the direction I took, but it's hard because in order to do the things that we've never had, we're going to have to do the things that nobody has done. And sometimes that's rest. And sometimes that's saying no. And sometimes that's doing refunds. And sometimes that's shutting up and not sending that rude email because of God. So, yeah.
All of those things you listed sounded like self-care to me.
That was not in my values at all. Like
Mhm.
I self-care who? Like
Mhm.
I'm a girl who hustles and who just figures it out. So believe it or not, I rested for the first time in December and I've never done that in my life.
Wow.
Because rest was like laziness. Like I'm Colombian. Ask my dad if we're just sitting down, or maybe anybody, Caribbean,
Yeah.
anybody. You're sitting down. Why are you sitting down? Do you want something to do? Oh, you're bored. Oh, I'm just saying, I'm taking a deep breath. No, you'll breathe when you're dead, like type of thing, right? That's been what we know our whole lives. So for me to consider rest or self-care, that's lazy, that's unproductive, that's expensive, right? So
Mhm.
it's so much of what you said, it's true. It's self-care, but we don't self-care.
There's a lot of things culturally in many cultures that is our norm, but it's actually traumatic or self-harm. But because we've been conditioned to do that thing or accept that thing as our norm, we don't realize it until, we come to this place of awareness or, we're educated differently. I know even when I started this podcast and me openly talking about therapy and like some of the struggles as a Christian and all these things, like other people were like, wow, like you're boldly saying things and you're not worried that, someone is going to say this or someone is going to do this or what have you. But I had learned from my mentor many years ago, we cannot be worried about what other people say or what they think. We have no control over that. And if we actually pay attention to what they're doing and what they are saying, they are showing us and telling us that they're not thinking. So why are we so concerned with what they, think and have to say about us? But also when you were talking about like synchronizing your Christian beliefs with your business, I strongly agree with not only us having to understand the identity of who we are so that we're not compartmentalizing ourselves. I remember many years ago, it was probably 10, 15 years ago, my former pastor was talking, and he was talking about how we try to wear all these different masks for different environments. And then we get confused with who we are. And then it's like, do we have multiple personality disorder? Like, what is happening here? Right. So for the last, for the last maybe 10 years, for me, it's been heavily focusing on alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I do has to be in alignment. It has to be in alignment with my relationship with God. It has to be in alignment with who I desire to become. It has to be in alignment with my spirit. Like, if someone even asks me to go somewhere, if that's out of alignment, no, thank you. I'm not available. I'm sorry. You get it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there was a point. So, I mean, raised and I guess expected to go to church every Sunday. That was my life. And then when I was an adult and making my own decisions and had my own children, it was like I decided, okay, I want to go to Bible study every Wednesday. I want to be at church with my kids every Sunday. That was the life that I lived. But I
Mm-hmm.
started incorporating it into my business when I shifted from real estate into personal development. And at the time, I was heavily, I'm going to say, acknowledged by the church and the Christian community for what I was doing publicly, because everything was about, um, glorifying God, bringing people to the kingdom, all the things. And then when I realized, okay, if I am going to be 1000% authentic, if I'm going to keep it 100, yes, I want to have a strong relationship with God. But the way that I was being told I had to do it didn't align with me. So when you talked about, like, basically how we do everything or how we show up, are people seeing the God in you? When you talk about your sister's life and you're like, what is it? What is it? And she's like, it's Jesus. It's her relationship, right? So when I shifted my perspective in that and I said, I am just going to be a reflection of God.
Yes.
So people that know me,
Mm-hmm.
they know how deep my relationship is with God. When people look at my business, I may mention God here or there. I always give credit to God because I can't do anything on my own. But I didn't need to have that in every post. It was just me living my life authentically, me loving on people genuinely, me caring for people, like just how I operate as a person. And people are like, oh, what is it? What is it that you're doing? Oh, it's my relationship with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to be in alignment and not feel like I'm pretending to do anything or that I'm doing anything that was inauthentic to me.
Mm-hmm.
Same time, because you talked about having the two things, and you may attract business for one thing or repel for another. I strongly believe that when we are being our authentic selves, we attract those who are meant to be connected to us, and we repel those who are not meant to be.
Yes.
So in that,
Living in the now, by the way. So that's why yeah.
so in that, in me doing so, is where relationships around me started to shift, and even the acknowledgement from certain organizations and groups shifted. And
Good.
my ability to live the way that I believe God wants me to live, and my ability to get other people to have their own relationship with God, has worked for me in this way. And it has allowed me to tap into communities and audiences that don't go to church, that have stigmas against church, that may not necessarily have a relationship with God or Jesus. They may believe in, I don't know, my ex-husband was Muslim. Like, they may have their own religion, but through how I operate and my relationship with God, it emboldens them or gives them the confidence to have their stronger relationship and be more in alignment with who they are. So sometimes we may see other people doing things in a certain way and think, okay, that's the path I should be going on or should be taking. But if it's out of alignment with who you are, then
Exactly.
you're not like, God can't bless who we pretend to be, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So my rewards, both in fulfillment and financially, have skyrocketed since because, okay, maybe some quote unquote church people may not like my content because I don't always specifically say God. Okay,
Hmm.
well, if we look at language, if we look at, um, okay, so if I were to say spirit, if I say frequency, vibe, energy, it all means the same thing. They
Hmm.
are four words describing the same thing.
Hmm.
So now I can authentically be myself. And those who are open minded, because a closed mind can't accept new ideas, those who are open minded will be attracted to me and connect with me authentically.
Yeah.
And those who are not are like, yeah, she's not my person. I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was literally just saying that, like, we're not for everybody. And if we try to put ourselves into a box or like just be okay with all the labels for everybody else, like, we, it's exhausting. Like, it is so exhausting. And I think I did that for way too long. I think I'm still understanding like what that is. And I'm realizing that as people were right, like, as you grow up, and my dad, reminds me of this every day. He's like, when you die by yourself. And like, it's the harsh truth, but like, we are shedding people, we are shedding things, behaviors, patterns. And as we do that, people go, relationships go, business goes, money goes too, right? And that's that concept of gripping that I always say that I'm learning daily to surrender, because sometimes the things that I'm gripping onto no longer serve me. And you notice friction in your life and you don't understand, why am I still facing this? And it's because we have to learn to surrender and let go. And that's one of the things that I have to daily pray about, because it's a struggle for me. I like love being able to control things.
Mhm.
And that's like what I'm learning to release, because it's the things that we're comfortable with.
Mhm.
Usually that's the case, is that we're comfortable and we're kind of like scared to let it go. And also I love what you said, that like, and when I was touching on it, like, we don't have to agree on the same thing. My platform, a lot of people come to my church that I know on social, like, they follow me on social media. They found my church or found, their faith through social media, but I've never pressed anybody about it.
Yeah.
How they found their walk with God was whatever I said that resonated with them. And a lot of the times I'm not mentioning God. I'm
Mhm.
going to the gym, I'm eating well. It's the character and it's the actions that we're doing on a daily basis that resemble that. I don't even have to say God. I
Mhm.
just say, like, my body, I have to treat my body for the assignment that I have. And somebody else is like, oh, the body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. And somebody else is like, yeah, get fit, be healthy, eat your meals. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, we align. Oh, I love your beliefs. Oh, I want to go to church.
Yeah.
Right. So you never know who you're speaking to at any point, but you're leaving the dialogue open and the conversation open, or even if it's not a conversation, just the opportunity for other people to see the light that had no idea. Like, you never know who you're blessing by who you show up. And that's the thing, is God can't bless who you pretend to be, but you also can't bless others if you are not showing up fully into who you've been called to, whatever that looks like. If you're an introvert, you show up how you've been called to as an introvert. And me, I am an extrovert, so I am probably socializing in every room 10 times a day, because that's the capacity I have, or I
Yeah.
feel like I'm a woman some days. So, yeah, I love that you touched on that, because it's super, super important that, like, we are just like realizing, like, you don't have to be, I always say the word like Bible thumping, but we don't have to do all that, because
Right.
everyone receives differently. The words that we say, the messaging that we says, you never know what you say is a mirror for somebody. They're like, oh, that word, oh, that, oh, this, and
Exactly.
boom, does a switch for them. So I love that.
Absolutely. And that's another reason why, even with this podcast, it's been a beauty for me and it's been a blessing to be able to co-create experiences for people and have this space where people can come to for tools and wisdom and resources. I've had many coaches that are in the same industry as me or what have you, and there's no form of competition because God has created all of us individually, and we will resonate different with different people. So someone may regularly listen to this podcast, and I could say the same thing over and over and over again, and it didn't click. And another coach come on and they say something in their own way, in their own language, in their own tone, and a listener is like, "Oh my gosh, like that
Mhm.
makes so much sense," right? So we can't we can't be gatekeepers of
Yes. True.
information, energy. So yeah. What is, I guess, for someone who feels lost in their purpose or disconnected from their faith right now, what's the first step that you suggest that they take to realign?
Um, I mean, I think sometimes people confuse purpose with this feeling that everything feels good all the time
Mhm.
because it's not.
Mhm.
Like every day I feel like I am almost like in friction, but then I do something and I realize I'm in purpose.
Mm,
So
mhm.
it's not a feeling. Purpose is not a feeling. It is a daily action of doing things that are like different actions that come together. I don't think it's this like heightened. I think we expect that purpose feels like I'm happy all the time, like things are always going my way. Because when you're walking in purpose, it often feels like everyone's walking one way and you're walking the other. And that's the reality is if you want to be in purpose, you're most likely not following what other people are doing. You're the anomaly. You are saying the hard things. You're being a pioneer. You're doing the innovative things. And it's hard because you have to pull a movement. And guess who that resembles? Jesus.
Mhm.
It was very, I think and so my advice is that this is all in the Bible. Like everything that I'm struggling with of I can't rest. I'm having sickness in my body, like Job. I feel afflicted. I'm being betrayed. Um, some people that are barren, women that are barren and can't have children, marriages that are falling apart, infidelity, like all of this is in the Bible. So none of this is unknown.
Mhm.
So the reason why I say that is because we often like to use the words, nobody knows what I'm going through. Like you have no idea. And
Yeah.
right, I haven't taken a walk in your stilettos and you have a walk in mine.
Yeah.
But guess what? We can both buy stilettos and walk in the same path. And I can, mine won't hurt for a little bit, but then you'll be fine. And then mine will hurt, right? We all go through ups and downs. So, but I think the purpose comment is saying that there will be highs and there will be lows. And one of my mentors said to me, don't let your highs get too high and don't get your lows get too low.
Mhm.
And let yourself ride that steady middle. Like be okay with having a steady middle. So if you're not feeling like your life is in alignment with what you want financially, mentally, emotionally, the first thing is how can you get to this like steady place of,
Mhm.
yeah, you know what? Some days aren't going to be great and some days are going to be amazing, but it's like this, right?
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
not kind of feel
Uh,
like this. It's like
yeah.
up and down, like big waves
Yeah.
versus waves for those not watching the video and can't see the video. Um, it's it's understanding that days like this are going to happen, and the first step is, for me at least, was doing one thing every single day, just one that would get me closer to who I wanted to become.
Mhm.
So for last year, it was my fitness journey and my health journey because I was going through a very hard time in my health. And I needed to lose weight. I needed to lose the inflammation because that was I think, core issue of the stress in my body and inflammation. And I dedicated 1 year to showing up for myself, both in my nutrition, in the gym, and consistent habits that would get me closer to that goal.
Mhm.
And I started to feel more aligned because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So as I focused on, waking up early because I had to go to the gym, I was waking up early, spending time with God, going to the gym. It switches something in your brain of saying, oh my gosh, at least I did something. I checked it off. It's that dopamine and it's that understanding of, wow, like if I didn't do anything today, I did that one thing and it would just stack and it would be a domino effect to all the other things. So now I went to the gym. I ate healthy. I don't feel sluggish. And you start to stack all these wins, all these little micro wins. You
Have
stack to the moment you're like, I don't recognize this girl. That's how I feel right
yeah.
now. I may not have every area in my life figured out. Trust me, I don't. We're going through a lot here. But if there's one thing I can say is that I dedicated 1 year to show up for myself and lost 20 pounds.
Okay.
And I've been the most consistent I've ever been. I have a great relationship with my body, with my food, and most importantly is respect for myself. And when you respect yourself, you teach others how to treat you. And that can sometimes be that place and purpose that you're like, people don't respect me, like all those things. It just comes to loving yourself and
Yeah.
identity. So all that in a nutshell, my advice to one person feeling like they're not in purpose and they're unsure of where they're going is really just tap into yourself and asking yourself, and knowing that you don't need to figure it all out right now.
Mm-hmm.
One thing you can do today to change your circumstance. And
Yes.
that's one thing.
Love it. Okay. Your one thing had me have like 5 things that I wanted to touch on. Let me see if I can put them all up quick. Goodness. Okay. So sometimes I'm like, oh, my brain, I can't remember. I'm turning 45 this year and my kids laugh at me. They're like, stop saying you're old. You're not old. I'm like, yeah, I may not look like it on the outside, but inside. Um, Goodness. Okay. Okay. So first thing, language. So when you said you lost 20 pounds this year, one, congrats on releasing that.
Mhm.
The the mind is trained to find anything that it loses, and then some, right?
Ooh.
So in mindset, when clients are talking about how much weight they want to lose, language, you're releasing. You
Oh,
release
I love that.
pounds
I release
because if your mind thinks that you lost it, you're programmed to regain.
it.
You're gonna regain it and some. Okay, so you released 20 pounds.
Wait,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
I hope everybody else heard that because
yes. And then the other thing when you talked about the waves of life. So even in mindset, like I tell people, don't be like a rock because your mind is set. It's set into one position. It doesn't want to move. Do not be a rock. Many people are so stuck because they are trying to be like that rock. They don't want to change anything. They don't want to move. They don't want like nothing. Um, if we are more like water, water is free flowing. It does allow us, right? Even if the rock is in the way, the water will go around it, right? It can change its shape so that it can still continue to move. It may have to detour. It may have ups and downs, but it can change its shape and still continue to move, right?
yeah,
Um, the other thing was like when you spoke about um, purpose. And I think it's an amazing point that you made that purpose doesn't always mean that it's going to feel good. Because
yes,
when people are, and here's another thing, I guess that I strongly believe with the coaching that I do is like once people have an understanding of something, then when they're experiencing things, they no longer feel like it's the end of the world or that it's just them or that they're doing something wrong. It's like with purpose, I can tell you this. I know that my purpose, what God called me here to do, and since I was born, is to help people to heal,
Mm,
whatever way that may be, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, whatever it is, right? So everything that I do has to align with that for me. In order for me to walk in my purpose, it does not always feel good. There are experiences that in order for me to help hold someone's hand and walk them through it, I have to know what that feels like.
yes. So you've had to go through that
I am
first.
I am a product of the product. So
Mm,
going and experiencing um childhood wounds and childhood traumas. It's, not easy, but I can relate to the people that I'm working with and through those processes. Having experienced multiple toxic relationships or narcissistic abuse, not fun, period. But being able to experience that, live through that, understand not only from the one side of understanding the personality traits and things to look out for, but on the other side, what we need to do so that we do not experience that all over again. So, yeah, it's not fun, but
mhm.
my purpose of helping people to heal, right? It's part of the process. Even with the podcast, I enjoy these conversations. I enjoy deep connection with people. I enjoy like-minded conversations or mind-opening or mind-blowing conversations. I hate editing, right? It's not always fun. So I love that you spoke to that.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think to touch on what you said, you're right. Like purpose doesn't come before I think the trial. Like I 100% always say this, and it took me a while to accept it and said I would go through what I went through again
mhm,
because that uncovered the next layer of my purpose. And I
mhm,
think it's going to change. Like you said, it's free flowing. The concept of, you're right, like yours is healing. I think I'm still trying to figure out my purpose, but I think it's connecting people or just helping people show up authentically, whatever that looks like. And I'm still discovering that. But as I break layers, going through a health journey, I can now relate on a different level to help the woman like that as well, showing up authentically despite what you're going through internally. So it's so much like there's often a trial that's attached to our purpose, but that
mhm.
doesn't mean that you need to give up. It's
Yeah.
actually an indication that you're going the right direction.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like this podcast has been an experience of um, a mix of qualitative and quantitative research for me because
Yes.
of the 6.5 years that I've been doing this and also being a guest on other people's podcasts, that's over 300 plus interviews. And one thing that every single entrepreneur or business owner has in common is our pain birthed our purpose.
Yes. From pain to purpose.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I could talk to you for hours, but
Really.
obviously, as business women, we have things to do.
Yes.
So, before we go to the final segment with the rapid fire, I would love if you could tell the listeners where they can find you, where they can learn more from you and about you.
Yeah. So my website is Sophia Aguilar. So that's Sophia with an F. .ca, sophiaaguilar.ca. My Instagram is S Aguilar underscore is my Instagram. Same thing on TikTok. You can find me on LinkedIn at Sophia Aguilar. And then I do have a podcast called One of One. And my YouTube is also Sophia Aguilar. So across the board, Sophia Aguilar is the name. And yeah, that's how you can find me, connect with me, DM me. I love voice notes. I'm a huge conversation. Like I maybe spend way too much time on my phone, but that's because it's the nature of what I do. It's connection. And there are a few events that I speak in here in Canada, but I also work in the States. I actually leave tomorrow morning to Florida,
Nice.
then LA, then New York. So you can find me at a city near you or find me online.
Love it, love it, love it. I will definitely have all of your details and your links in the detailed section of the episode so they can just click and connect with you directly. They don't have to search too far.
Perfect.
All right. So for the final segment of the show, it's a quick rapid fire. You can answer one word or one sentence. And because I don't like to be put into a box, I'm claustrophobic. I also will not box you in. If you feel the need to unpack your answer, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay. Cool.
Name a book that has changed or greatly impacted your life.
Uh, The Garden Within.
I
By
just read Video.
Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
I have read this book. This one and The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. I'll tell you a quick story about Brianna Wiest.
Yeah.
I've read the book and listened to the book, and each time I get stuck at a specific chapter. Why? Because I haven't been ready to release and get over that mountain.
Mm.
It's chapter 6. So if you've listened and you can relate, I'm now on chapter 7. We've surpassed that. We overcame. And I
Yeah.
think that still sometimes I need to go back to 3, 4, 5, but it's changed my life because it's easy to blame things on other people. Accountability is the hardest part. Awareness is also a really hard part. Once you discover awareness and accountability,
Yes.
it unlocks the next step, which is now you're aware and now you're accountable, but you're still self-sabotaging.
Mm-hmm.
I constantly realize that I could continue to blame the guys in my life. Like we could continue to say men are trash. We can continue to blame the job and the clients and the business, but the common denominator
Is
was
us.
me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I've really had to shift and understand that we're the problem,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want things to change, we need to be the change we want to see, as corny as it sounds. So that one changed my life. The Garden Within, helped me because I love when like when I have conversations with God, it's typically a metaphor because I need to see things in the physical and tangible to be able to relate them. So like when you say water fills the cup, I can physically be like, I want to be like water. I take shape of this big brown cup or the zebra print cup, but I can also take the form of a Stanley. Like I love how the Garden Within speaks to our minds and our hearts being like a garden, and the seeds that we plant, we choose to either be fertilizer or we choose to be water and good fruit, and the good fruit can resemble business and finance and wealth and joy and peace. So I love how this one specifically talks about emotions. I've struggled with emotions in two sides: heightened emotions, low emotions, opening up, then also being like, some things don't need to be said, girl, uh, so I've battled that in lots of different ways, and I think this book has really taught me to understand what these emotions mean
Mm.
and how to help also other people that I'm in relationships with, client relationships, romantic relationships, so that when it does come to that point, that my heart, my garden, is attended to.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I read both The Garden Within and The Mountain Is You. And if you enjoy those two, read Let Them by Mel Robbins.
That is up next.
Yes.
Have it. I have it on my Audible because I'm finishing Winning the War in Your Mind as well. Yeah. My next read, Winning the War in Your Mind, by Craig Groeschel. He's a pastor as well, and he talks about changing your thinking and changing your life. And again, the biggest battle being the battle in our minds.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Love it. Okay. What's one word you would use to describe yourself?
I might steal your word, which is resilient, but if I were to add on to that, it would be that's a great question. It would be a bridge.
Mm.
Is that a descriptive word? I don't know. Clearly, I probably was.
Because I envision, when I envision a bridge, you help people get from one point to the next.
Point to the next. And that means some people hop off early in the bridge, or they
Mm.
get through the whole bridge,
Mhm,
or they need a hand getting through the bridge, or
mhm.
they go by themselves. Like I've come to peace with a lot of things in my life saying, I inspired the A to B point, but I don't have to walk with you through the bridge. Or you chose to leave me at A,
Yeah.
or I'm at B and you're still at A. Like understanding that I connect people. Somebody asks me like, "Oh, do you know a plumber?" Or "Do you know this?" Like literally people ask me if I know somebody who can paint their house or who can do their photos or who can do websites. Like I'm that person that people go to. Or they even ask, "Do you have a church, a book, a podcast, opportunity?" And I can connect you.
Mhm.
Um just like that, that bridge sometimes looks like great relationships that okay, you crossed the bridge and now you're on your own kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I've really it's brought a lot of peace to my life. I think using that word of being like, I'm a connector or I'm a bridge because I don't hold responsibility anymore for the people or the things that decided to either evolve or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay. What's the worst advice you've ever received?
Focus on one thing.
Okay. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Don't take things personal. Yeah. The focus on one thing is because if I didn't focus on one thing, I probably wouldn't be where I am. I've tried everything. I think the advice I would give everybody is try everything.
Mhm.
Why not?
Yeah.
You only know that you don't like something or that something didn't work. Like I'm going to launch something tomorrow and it's either going to go great and I'm going to make money, or I'm not going to make money and I could still try it again and collect feedback. Like we need feedback. We need data. Like look at people that literally for a living analyze charts and data and they learn. That's how our life needs to be. So when somebody told me don't just focus on one thing, it's like, I'm sorry, but like you said, I'm claustrophobic. I'm not getting in a box and
Yeah.
like I am gonna go and try everything. I'm gonna stay somewhere for a week and be like, you know what, not for me. Come right back. I'm
Exactly.
gonna go connect with somebody. I'm gonna send an email because I believe that like there's no such thing as a no. It's just
Yeah.
a no right now. So it's not that I failed in dancing. It's that I okay, it was an evolution. So that happened. And then next, right?
Yeah.
It's not a no, it's not a rejection, it's not a closed door. It's a stepping stone for the next thing. And then the best advice of don't take things personal. I take everything personal. By the way, that's why it's the best advice. And I'm not learning it until I'm not applying it. I've been told it multiple times by great friends, mentors, coaches, parents, my siblings. You take things so personal. Yes, because I think that people are directly attacking my character. But like we said at the beginning, sometimes it's not about us, it's about them, and hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Or two, it's business, it's life, like it's a comment, it's feedback. So I'm actively like when I tell you that I'm having right now to be like, this isn't personal, this is business. This isn't personal, this is business. I've had clients go with a competitor of mine in the same city. I've had somebody tell me that like I'm not worth the price. I've had somebody tell me I've had somebody leave me for somebody else like in a relationship. I've had refunds I've had to make out of misunderstandings. Like so much has happened and I have to realize this isn't an attack on my character.
Right.
Nobody's telling me you're horrible.
Yeah.
Like that's how our brain, like my brain goes into fight or flight mode. Like I need to protect. Like I'm being attacked by a bear. So I'm like, we're not being attacked by a bear. We're okay. Breathe in, breathe out. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
learned in Colombia was to breathe and understand that it's not personal. It's just business or it just is, period.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. I love that. There's so much I could unpack there, but there's not enough time. But
Me too.
yes, I love that.
Guys, you need to let us know in the comments if you want a part two. We will
Exactly.
sit on like a vote survey.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, what's one thing that most people get wrong about you?
Hmm. I need to tread lightly on this one. The reason why I say that is because sometimes, okay, I have a public platform. Having a public platform doesn't mean that I don't struggle and I don't
Mm,
go through things.
mhm,
Sharing what I go through doesn't mean that I'm weak. It also doesn't mean that I'm a problematic person.
mhm,
And it also doesn't mean that you get to have a say on my life.
mhm.
I think what people get wrong about me is that I'm not going to snap back because I'm kind and I'm loving and I'm friendly. And I think that a lot of people on social media see me as like their digital bestie and their friend. And I am. That's why I'm like, I need to tread lightly because I don't want to offend some people. Um, and the boundary that has been really hard for me is saying, like, actually, we're not friends, we're acquaintances or we're
Mm,
colleagues. There's difference. Like, I love that you feel like you know me and you love me through this platform, but you don't know me. You
yes.
don't know what I go through. You don't know the battles that I face. I say a lot of things and I share a lot of things, but if you walked a day in my life, you wouldn't survive.
Mhm,
And I say that like I want to cry because I think that people don't see that every day I put on a robe of like strength that can only come from God. And so
mhm.
they see like, oh, your life is so easy, things are so great, or whatever. And it's like, I think people need to have more grace and uh more respect. Okay. Like I'm trying to sugarcoat it because I feel like people will take this personally if I say it like that. But it's like, just like when you see your celebrities on social media, like you guys see Kim Kardashian, you see Kylie Jenner, you see, people that are celebrities and you look up to them and you say, look at them, they're people too. We
Exactly.
are people too. And so, yes, I have a business. Yes, I share everything, but have some grace and respect for if I don't respond to your message, but I'm posting a story, it doesn't mean that I'm ignoring you. You don't need to ring my phone down thinking that I hate you
Yeah.
because you're so used to my level of access of voice noting you back. And it sucks because my heart is like, like I wish that's the part of me taking things personally. I'm like, I wish you saw my heart that like I just need to set better boundaries around social media and my access, but I also want people to see my day-to-day life that I'm just a regular person that decided to go after everything. And that's why my life is public. And that's why I am an open door to everything, but it also brings a lot of criticism. Not bad criticism. I think it makes people just be like, "Oh, I can say whatever I want to her." or I
Yeah.
have all the levels of access. And so, I think one thing people get wrong as well is that I have a lot of friends and that I'm always like, I always get that, like, you're so busy or you have so many friends. You know, I know this is the end of the podcast, so we would have to we could revisit this later, but you said lead as my heart.
Yeah.
Last year I went through a really dark time in my life. I didn't leave my house or my room for um for 3 days. I was going through it. Like, I have never seen myself in that. My therapist even said, "Sophia, I never want to see you in this place. We need to get you out." Like,
Mm-hmm.
she said that to me. And in that moment, I was so alone. Like, when people are like, "Call me if you need anything," you call them and they didn't show up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they were, and not a reflection of my friends, but I think people have the misconception that because we're social people, that we have a lot of friends. We don't, and we need community just as much as everybody needs it, right? So those 3 days, my dad got me out of that funk. He was like, "We're going to Home Depot." And my mom was like, my mom drove all the way here, maybe about like an hour or two to get to my house to just go on a drive because my friends did not pull up
Mm-hmm.
and nobody on social media knew. So, I didn't want to cry, but I think that's the hardest part, is that just because you see me tagging people and clients doesn't mean that when I go home, I get a, "Hey, how are you?" I get a,
Yeah.
"Hey, when are my videos done? Hey, did you send that email? Hey, can you send that package?"
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you asked, like, I'll say that quote that says, like, check up on your strong friends. When
Mm-hmm.
was the last time you checked in on your strong friend, of that strong person on social media that you see, like, killing it all the time? We're not.
Mm-hmm.
Or we are, but we're also human, right? So, hate to bring the tears at the very end and leave everybody on like a
And I'm like, okay, don't cry, McKinney. Don't add. I am sorry that you even had to experience
Mhm.
that. And I think what hurts the most is I know what that feels like.
Mhm.
And people have I can say this. Check on your strong friends the most,
Yes.
because those are the people that are suppressing. Those are the people that are trying to just get stuff done. And I had to explain this to my kids probably about 2 years ago, because they're like, "Mom, you're so strong, you don't cry, da, da, da." I'm like, "I cry every single day, probably at least 5 times, okay?
Yes.
I cry for commercials, I go in the bathroom and cry, I cry all the time." It was it's people have this belief that you are so strong that you don't need them.
Mhm.
Truth is, we actually need them more to maintain our strength,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I can empathize with what you're saying, because in my late 20s and all of my 30s, I was so transparent with my life on social media that people that had never met me a day in their life, people that didn't even live in this country, felt that they knew me and that they had a place to say certain things to me in my DMs.
Uh-huh.
And then as I got into my 40s and I got really intentional about my healing journey, and I started seeing my therapist every week, and I started going a lot deeper into wounds that I didn't even realize I had, when I reached out to certain friends, or when I reached out to people that I thought were friends, they were not there for me. There was judgment. There was, "Well, how did you let him do this to you? Why did you?" "Oh, I wouldn't have did that." There was all this judgment. And the one person that was not even a friend at the time, she was someone I had met on social media. She was the person who sat on the phone with me and listened to me cry and
Mm.
helped me feel like I was human.
Yeah.
Because the world was like, "No, you're a machine, you're superhuman." Like,
Yeah.
your value is placed on what you can give us. And I want people to understand, even with celebrities, like with all the celebrities that lost their home in LA, and people on social were saying things like, "Oh, well, they're rich, they can buy it back."
Yeah.
Okay, but that same person, you have
Still at
no
home.
what they had to do to get to that place to even earn those things. And even if they had insurance, there's sentimental value attached to things. There are things that
Yeah.
can't be replaced. Not everything and not everyone is replaceable. So I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate you sharing. And like I said from the very beginning, like, I do not take it lightly when people like yourself come on here to co-create this experience for our listeners, because they hear your story, they hear your truth, your wisdom, and they realize even if they don't feel that they are ready or that they have the voice to speak out, they're like, I am not alone.
Mhm.
I experienced what Sophia experienced. There's someone out there that gets it, and we're wired for connection. So when we feel that social proof, we feel more at peace with ourselves, and
Yes.
gives us the strength to go on another day. So thank you.
Man, thank you. Yeah, and honestly, I think that some people, that's not their intention. I'll be honest, I know that those weren't my friend's intention, but I told them, I said, "I knew I couldn't count on you because you were gonna tell me, 'Come on, like, you could get through it, you got this.'" And what people have to understand is we don't always need you to hype us up and tell us we can get through it. I can't see the get through it yet. I
Mhm.
couldn't see that I was getting through it until December
Mm,
22nd,
mhm,
2024.
mm.
That's a month ago.
Wow.
6 months, almost 6 months of me trying to get through it. I didn't think about the get through. I just
Mhm,
wanted to make it honestly, like, in the hardest way for me to put it, I just wanted to be able to make it to tomorrow.
mhm,
Thought process, right? Because it wasn't about, "I'm gonna make it 2025." I was like, "I've never been here before." And the only thing I could think of was like, "God, I've gone too far just to get here." And
mhm,
again, it's not people's intentions. They wanna hype you up. They wanna be like, "You're better than this. Come on, like, be happy, be positive." And it's like, sometimes I just need a listening ear, and I echo that, like what you said, like, it's not a it was a random person, literally, who I was crying, and they didn't say, "You're gonna get through it." They just sat there. It was a
mhm,
3-hour call, and I just bawled my eyes out. And then after I was like, okay, honestly, maybe that's what I needed. Just somebody not to tell me I'm strong, not to tell me it's going to be okay. Just listen to me because I'm not okay. And I think if we were more listeners than we were speakers,
mhm,
like
mhm,
everyone wants a speaker nowadays, but when was the last time you listened to somebody? When
mhm,
was the last you stopped to listen instead of just hearing your own voice and
mhm,
let the other person say what they're feeling and what's in their heart and in their mind, the battles and the devils that they have to fight daily. But your brain says, no, 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 just tell them it's going to be okay. Affirm them. Da da da. They
because
don't
that's what
need
makes them comfortable, right?
this.
I
Yes.
learn part of the healing process, me understanding that not everyone has the capacity to hold space for
Correct.
our feelings. And what helped me not be resentful to the friends that I,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, felt should have been there for me, it's
Mm-hmm.
they didn't have the capacity. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
people are going through their own stuff, but then they see
Yeah.
you as a strong person, like, "Well, if the strong person is down, what does that mean for me? And
Exactly.
have anything to offer this person, or I don't know." So,
Mm-hmm.
the unfortunate toxic positivity of, "You're just gonna be okay."
Yeah.
If they simply asked you, "Do you want to be heard?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be hugged? Or do you want advice?"
Yeah. And and I love that you said that because I have so much like my friend, like we're like this,
Mhm,
right? We're super tight, and that's because I understood that it wasn't about them.
mhm,
It like and you're right, like I'm the strong friend. So if I was going down, then what did that mean about them? And for me, I didn't want to show them I was weak because I still wanted to be there for them. So I never wanted them to think that they would be a burden if they needed me because I'm used to them needing me. So I wanted to make sure like you don't got to know what's going on because I'm here for you. And my situation doesn't limit me from being there for you. It never did. I would
mhm,
always show up for them.
mhm,
But in my heart, I've healed and, released that part of saying it's them, it's about them. They weren't there for me because we also have to understand that if we don't share, then no one's going to know, right? We're just going to have this strong positivity mask. So you're right. Like, although it was the hardest part of my journey, I think it allowed me to hold so much grace and space for other people and understand that you never know what anyone's going through. And there's so much grace that we just need on a daily basis. And that
mhm.
continues to confirm why God is so important because I could never. I
Listen,
and on that note, I could never.
my final words on that is that I had to learn that I can't expect people to hold space for my emotions when they don't know how to hold space for theirs.
Absolutely.
So, it's strengthening my relationship with God in that moment And it doesn't even have to be a close friend. It could be someone else that God sends in that moment.
Mm.
Again, because we're wired for connection. When I had that moment, it was the conversations with God that attracted who I needed in that moment to be
Yeah.
the ear that I needed.
And that's like, oh my gosh, I feel like we could just continue talking. So, he, like, honestly, this season, where I'm at is go to God before I go to people. Why? Because the answer usually lies in going to God first, like having a vertical relationship that we're going here. Okay, God, I'm going to go to you for the client. I'm going to go to you for the finance. I'm going to go to you because of my mental health. I'm going to go to you because of my physical health or my spiritual health even, or there's drama in my life. I'm going to go to God because when I expect like and talk horizontal, so I'm gonna call my FaceTime, like I'm gonna FaceTime my girl. It's usually what I do as soon as something happens. FaceTime, and she knows, oh, quick FaceTime call. It's like, imagine we picked up the phone, imagine we went to God just as fast as we picked up the phone to call our best friend to share what happened, because usually the peace, the answer, and the grace is gonna come from being like, God, I need you, or
Mhm.
God, I need this.
Mhm.
He wants to hear from us before we even, you know, and sometimes I have to call my friends 2, 3 times. We could just have access to the Lord. I have to call them to get through the direct serve. And God's like, come to me. I'm here. I'll access pass 24/7.
And even to add to that, it's all sometimes we will talk to God. It's like we pick up the phone to talk to God, but then do we wait long enough to listen? Right? It's like it's a
Now you're
one-sided conversation because we're talking, but now, okay, are we listening?
yes, like you're right. Is it a one-sided conversation with God, or is it, okay, I'm telling you, I just spit fire a bunch of things to God and then I'm like, okay, and now I'm going to go do the things that you didn't communicate fast enough. I gave you 6 seconds and we're down out of the prayer session now. So I love that because you're right. Like it's like the vertical communication with God is not one-sided. It's okay, God, and then download and give enough time for God to speak or move. And it's not going to happen when we want to. And usually that's a good thing, because if I go to my friends and I'm like, "Da, da, 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 this happened," and they're going to tell me and do this, I'm going to be acting based off of an emotion and not based on the peace and the character of God. So that was a word for me. If there's anything I took away, was wait till the Lord speaks, Sophia.
Yeah. Yes. That's where you need to go for all your advice, because I strongly believe I I do not take advice from people that I don't want to switch places with,
Yes.
because people have opinions, and their opinions 99 times.
This is with you, then I probably shouldn't be asking you or take. I could ask you, but if I would to switch places with you, then I would not take your advice and apply it into my life, because then that means I'm going to be in your shoes.
Yeah.
Respectfully, not trying to.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Anyway, thank you so much, Sophia. Honestly, like I said, I knew it. We could talk for hours. I was looking at my time. I'm like, oh goodness, I have my next client just now. Um, so I truly, like I said, I truly appreciate you. And if there is any way I could ever be of value to you or your community, I'd be more than happy to help. But thank you again.
When I'm ready to write my book with all the things that I can't remember about my life, I literally said, I'm going to you.
I'm ready for you.
Recollecting all of my memories right now. I'm literally interviewing the people I need to interview so that they could give me an insight on my life so that I could write my story.
I love it. I love it. I am excited for you. I'm cheering for you, and I am here for you. Thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you so much. I love this.
To all my healers out there, thank you for tuning in. Because of you, we rank globally in the top 1.5% of podcasts out there. If this episode resonated with you, please subscribe, rate the show, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and let us know what gems Sophia left you with, what your aha moments were, or maybe even your favorite quote. If you can think of 2 people that would benefit from this conversation, share it with them. If you feel that they need to hear Sophia's testimony, share it with them. screenshot this episode, tag us on Instagram. You could tag Sophia at SAGUILAR_. You can tag myself at The Real McKinney Smith, and let's keep this conversation going. If today's episode resonated with you, The Renewing Your Mind, A Guide to Transforming Your World from Chaos to Clarity is a book that I co-wrote with my business partner, Susanna Mihailovich. It is a tool that you need to have in your toolbox. You can get the book on Amazon or at McKinneySmith.com. A healthy community is a healing community, and a healing community is full of hope. So let's continue to heal her.